Hey guys, we're back for more for problem number 5. So James participated in the PF Chang's Marathon in Arizona. He decided to do the full marathon, so 26.2 miles, so that we know, even though he had not trained enough to run the entire race. We also are told here, so James jogged twice as many miles as he walked in the marathon. And then here we actually are already given the variables we're going to use. So J represents the number of miles James jogged, and W represents the number of miles he walked. So we need to write two separate equations to represent this. So we're kind of given, whenever we have a system of equations like this, really we're going to write one equation to describe one part of the information and one equation to describe the other part. So one of the things that we are told is that let's jump maybe down to the more obvious one, he jogged twice as many miles as he walked. So the question we're going to have to answer is the equation this or is the equation this? Right? So we just talked about number 4, how sometimes that 3L equals U can be confusing. So here we have to write the equation ourselves. One of the tips I told you guys is it's always okay to pick numbers. So let's try it. So we know he jogged twice as many as he walked. So we would expect that if he walked 1 mile, right, he would have jogged twice as many, so 2. Well, this is a true statement based on the information, W equals 1 and J equals 2. So one thing we could do is we could just plug it into both equations and see which one works. So for the first equation, so J equals 2, so if I plug those in, so 2 equals 2 times 1. Well, 2 equals 2, that one works. If we do it this way, we would have said W, so W is 1 equals 2 times 2. So we can see there that really it's got to be this first equation. So let's stick with that. All right, so that's our first equation. That one is talking about how the number of miles he jogs relates to the number of miles he walks. The other thing that we're told is a full marathon is 26.2 miles. So he finished the marathon. So really, how did he finish the marathon? Well, some of it he jogged, right? That's how many miles he jogged, and the number of miles he walked have to equal up to 26.2. So those really are our two equations. Now, part B, we need to use those equations to find out how many miles he jogged and how many miles he walked. So we're going to do the same thing we did in number 4 by substituting in. We want to be able to take those equations and get in terms of just one variable. So we'd start with this one. That would probably be the easiest. And we know that J equals 2W, so we're going to take this and we're going to substitute it in right there. So when we rewrite 2W plus W equals 26.2, 3W equals 26.2, oops, 0.2. And then if I divide both sides by 3, I'm going to get W equals about, this is rounding, 8.73 miles. Okay, well that's how many miles he walked. So really you could go back to either of the equations. You could go back to this one, or you could go back to this one to find out how many miles he jogged. If we did the first one, we'd be saying, well, 2 times 8.73 is going to give us the answer. Or if we did the second one, we'd be saying J plus 8.73 equals 26.2. 26.2. Either way, when we solve, we should get J equals about 17.47 miles. So these are the two values, or the value of W and the value of J, we would say that make both of those equations true, where he jogged twice as many as he walked, and he also finished the marathon in 26.2 miles.